Do you believe that you are in control of your decisions? What if I told you that 90% of what you do, feel, and even believe does not come from your consciousness, but rather from a hidden system inside your mind? Your subconscious works behind the scenes, programming your actions, your feelings, and even your destiny without you realizing it. Since childhood, it absorbs information like a sponge, creating beliefs and habits that define your reality. The problem? Many of these programs were implanted without your permission and may be sabotaging you every day. But the good news is that this code can be rewritten. Neuroscience scientists and scholars such as Freud and Carl Jung have already proven that it is possible to reprogram the mind and completely change your perception of life. This means that you can break negative patterns, overcome unconscious fears, and finally take control of your destiny. In this video, you will discover how your subconscious influences your prosperity, your health, and even your relationships. And most importantly, you will learn powerful techniques to reconfigure it in your favor. Are you ready to wake up? Most people believe they make decisions consciously, but the truth is that our unconscious controls about 90% of our choices. It is the unconscious that filters information from the world around us and defines how we react to each situation. Our perceptions, feelings, and beliefs are shaped long before the rational mind even has time to process the facts. And the scariest thing? Much of this mental programming was installed in childhood, without us having any control over it. Our brain works like a supercomputer, where the subconscious acts as an invisible operating system. It stores traumas, beliefs, and habits that make us repeat patterns, often without understanding why. That is why some people always choose toxic relationships or sabotage their growth opportunities. They are simply following an unconscious program. And like any system, if it is not updated, it continues to run the same instructions, leading to the same results. But if the unconscious controls us so intensely, is there a way to reprogram it? The answer is yes. Neuroscience has already proven that the brain is malleable and can be reconfigured through new experiences and repetitions. However, this transformation does not happen overnight. Just as it takes years to learn to speak or walk, changing paradigms requires time, dedication, and the right tools. And the first step towards this is to understand how information is recorded in our mind, directly influencing our emotions. Our subconscious is like a safe that stores all the experiences we have lived, even those we have consciously forgotten. Small events from the past, which seemed insignificant at the time, may have been recorded as rejection, fear, or failure. A disapproving look from a parent in childhood, a criticism from a teacher, or even a harsh tone of voice may have left deep scars. These hidden memories shape our emotional reactions and can make us act without understanding why. Imagine someone who, every time they try to expose themselves or speak in public, feels butterflies in their stomach, an inexplicable anxiety. This may be a reflection of an experience that is recorded in the subconscious as something negative, even if the person does not consciously remember it. The brain creates automatic associations to protect us from what it interprets as danger, even if that danger is not real. Thus, we remain trapped in emotional patterns that influence our relationships, choices, and even our self-esteem. The good news is that we can access and reprogram these unconscious memories. Techniques such as hypnosis, cognitive behavioral therapy, and the repetition of new patterns help to reframe these experiences. When we become aware that a limiting belief is rooted in a record of the past, we can rewrite it. In this way, we stop being hostages to uncontrolled emotions and start to control our reactions consciously. But to do this, we need to understand how stress affects our brain and reinforces these negative cycles. Stress is one of the greatest enemies of the mind and body. When we are constantly overloaded, our brain goes into a state of alert, activating the fight or flight mechanism. This was useful in our ancestors' time when we needed to escape predators, but in the modern world, this response is being triggered by tight deadlines, incessant notifications, and financial worries. The problem? This constant state of tension wreaks havoc on our mental health, affecting our ability to reason, remember, and make decisions. When stress becomes chronic, it alters our brain chemistry and reinforces negative patterns in our subconscious. Excess cortisol, the stress hormone, can atrophy areas of the brain responsible for learning and emotional regulation. Over time, this can lead to problems such as anxiety, depression, and even psychosomatic illnesses. Many people live in this cycle without realizing it, feeling constantly exhausted, lacking energy, and unable to understand why they are unable to change their lives. The key to reversing this situation lies in strategies that help rebalance the mind. Deep breathing techniques, meditation, and practices such as gratitude have a powerful impact on reducing stress. In addition, adjusting your routine to include moments of rest and leisure is essential to reconfiguring the brain. After all, when you learn to manage stress, your unconscious stops operating in survival mode and starts to allow for true transformations. But there is another invisible enemy that also affects your mind: the illusion of multitasking. Many people believe that multitasking is a sign of productivity, but neuroscience proves otherwise. Our brains were not designed to perform several tasks at the same time. When we try to divide our attention between several activities, we are actually just switching quickly between them, which causes mental fatigue and reduces our efficiency. The result? Poor work, more mistakes, and an increasing level of stress. In addition to compromising focus and learning, multitasking can directly affect our mental health. Studies show that people who perform several tasks simultaneously are more prone to anxiety and depression. This is because the constant mental overload prevents the brain from processing information deeply, making it difficult to make decisions and be creative. Have you ever felt that, after a day full of distractions, your mind is exhausted, but without the feeling of having done anything truly productive? This is the effect of multitasking. The solution to this problem is simple, but it requires discipline to focus on one thing at a time. Methods such as deep work and the Pomodoro technique help train the brain to maintain full attention. Creating habits of concentration improves performance and reduces mental fatigue. By eliminating the illusion of productivity from multitasking, you free up space in your mind for more conscious and strategic decisions. This is essential because the way we think can impact not only our productivity, but also our physical health. What we think directly affects our body. Many physical illnesses originate in the mind and subconscious, manifesting as symptoms with no clear medical explanation. These are called psychosomatic illnesses, which arise when repressed emotions, accumulated stress, and negative beliefs overload the body. Chronic pain, digestive problems, and even autoimmune conditions can be reflections of an overloaded mind. Your body is always listening to your thoughts, and what you feel can transform into physical signs. Neuroscience and epigenetics have already proven that our mental patterns even influence the activation of genes linked to diseases. If a person grows up hearing that everyone in the family has diabetes or that old age brings suffering, their subconscious may accept these statements as absolute truths. Over time, these beliefs can program the body to develop the corresponding symptoms. This explains why some people are constantly sick, while others remain healthy even in challenging conditions. But the good news is that this programming can be changed. Techniques such as meditation, mental reprogramming, and reframing traumas help break the cycle of psychosomatic illnesses. Studies show that practices such as mindfulness reduce inflammation in the body and strengthen the immune system. In other words, taking care of your mind is taking care of your health. But to fully understand this connection, we need to go beyond the individual and explore an intriguing concept called the collective unconscious. Carl Jung proposed that our mind is not only a reflection of individual experiences, but also carries memories and patterns inherited from humanity. This concept, called the collective unconscious, suggests that we all share symbols, archetypes, and deep beliefs that influence our behaviors. This is why different cultures have similar myths about heroes, shadows, and journeys of transformation. Our mind carries not only our personal history, but also the history of our ancestors. This raises an important question: to what extent are we truly free to decide our beliefs and behaviors? If we have inherited unconscious patterns from previous generations, many of our fears, anxieties, and even emotional tendencies may not actually be our own. The belief in failure, the difficulty in thriving, or even the way we view relationships may be rooted in records that are much older than we imagine. Thus, personal transformation requires more than just willpower. It requires in-depth work to identify and reframe these patterns. Modern science has sought explanations for this phenomenon, and one of the most fascinating fields that has emerged is epigenetics. Studies indicate that we not only inherit physical characteristics from our ancestors, but also emotional and psychological tendencies. In other words, traumas experienced by our ancestors may be impacting our lives today, even without us being aware of it. The question that remains is, if genetics is not a fixed destiny, how can we reprogram this information to transform our reality? Epigenetics has revolutionized the way we understand genetic inheritance. Previously, it was believed that our DNA was a fixed script, determining our characteristics and even our diseases. Today, we know that genes can be activated or deactivated according to our lifestyle, thoughts, and emotions. In other words, our beliefs and habits directly influence genetic expression, shaping not only our destiny, but also that of future generations. Studies show that traumas and emotional patterns can be transmitted genetically. If an ancestor went through an intense experience, such as a war or famine, this information can be recorded in the DNA of their descendants. This explains why some people carry seemingly unexplained fears or blocks. But if genetic programming can be influenced by external factors, this means that we can also consciously reprogram it, changing beliefs and behaviors that no longer serve us. The key to this transformation lies in repetition and emotional impact. When we change our habits, practice positive affirmations, and live intensely meaningful experiences, we send new commands to our brain and our DNA. This means that prosperity, health, and emotional balance can be built, regardless of genetic inheritance. But to do so, it is essential to understand how paradigms shape our reality and often lead us to self-sabotage. Paradigms are mental patterns that govern our lives without us realizing it. They are formed by beliefs, habits, and perceptions that we have adopted since childhood and that define what we consider possible or impossible. If a paradigm tells us that money is hard to earn or that relationships always end in suffering, our subconscious will do everything to validate this belief, even if we rationally want the opposite. This is how many people enter cycles of self-sabotage without understanding why. Self-sabotage occurs when an ingrained paradigm conflicts with a conscious desire. You may want to prosper, but if your unconscious mind is programmed for scarcity, it will create invisible obstacles. This can manifest as procrastination, fear of taking risks, or even impulsive decisions that nullify your progress. It is like trying to drive a car with the handbrake on. You can step on the accelerator, but you will never get anywhere. The only way to break out of these cycles is to change the paradigms that govern your life. This requires effort, because the subconscious resists change, always seeking the comfort zone. However, by reprogramming your mind through repetition and emotional impact, it is possible to replace limiting beliefs with new, empowering convictions. The transformation begins when we identify these programmings and take control of them. But how do these paradigms form in the first place? It all starts in childhood. From birth, our mind works like a sponge, absorbing information from the environment and the people around us. Until the age of 7 or 8, our subconscious is completely open, registering everything without a critical filter. This means that beliefs, fears, and behavioral patterns are installed at this stage and begin to guide our adult life without us realizing it. If a child grows up hearing that he or she is not good enough or that money is dirty, these ideas become absolute truths for his or her subconscious. The problem is that these beliefs are not necessarily based on reality, but rather on the limited perception of those who raised us. Insecure parents, strict teachers, or even traumatic events can program the child's mind for scarcity, fear, or submission. We often carry these limitations for decades, without questioning whether they really make sense for who we are today. The subconscious doesn't distinguish what is true from what has just been repeated countless times. The good news is that, just as we were programmed in childhood, we can reprogram our minds in adulthood. The first step is to become aware of the beliefs that limit us and then replace them with new, empowering ideas. But how do you do this effectively? There are two main methods: repetition and emotional impact. And understanding how to apply them can be the key to unlocking your potential. Changing a paradigm is not easy, but it is completely possible. The subconscious learns through repetition and emotional impact. Repetition consists of exposing your mind to new ideas over and over again until they are accepted as truth. This is how we learn to drive or speak a new language. Continuous practice turns something that seemed difficult into something second nature. If you want to install a new belief, you need to reinforce it daily through affirmations, visualizations, and actions that align with your new mental pattern. Emotional impact, on the other hand, is when an intense experience instantly reconfigures your perception of reality. A traumatic event can instill deep fear, but a moment of great inspiration can also change your mindset forever. Many people report that after a loss, a trip, or a powerful insight, they never see life the same way again. Creating exciting and transformative experiences can accelerate mental reprogramming. However, no change happens without resistance. Your subconscious will try to pull you back into your comfort zone, generating doubts and subtle sabotage. But as you persist in the new programming, the old paradigms begin to lose strength and make room for new possibilities. You are in control of your destiny. You just have to decide to take this power. And now that you understand how the mind works, the question that remains is, are you ready to transform your life? Changing paradigms is a challenging process, but it is the only path to a full and prosperous life. Many people spend their entire lives trapped in beliefs they did not choose, repeating patterns without realizing it. But now you know that your mind can be reprogrammed, and this is the key to taking control of your destiny. The decision to change is in your hands, and it all starts with small daily steps that strengthen a new reality. The journey of transformation requires commitment. At first, your subconscious will try to pull you back into the old programming, but with persistence, you will begin to see results. Consciously choose the thoughts you want to feed, practice positive affirmations, and surround yourself with content and people that elevate your mindset. What seemed impossible before will become natural over time. Prosperity, health, and success are not privileges for a few, they are the result of a well-programmed mind. So, the final question is, are you ready to rewrite your story? If you have come this far, you have already taken the first step. Now, continue this journey, applying what you have learned and sharing this knowledge with others. And if you want to receive more content on how to transform your mind and your life, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. This is your moment. The decision to change is up to you. If everything you believe about yourself and life has been programmed into your mind, What would you like to rewrite? What patterns, beliefs, or fears no longer make sense for who you want to become? The answer to these questions defines the course of your transformation. What separates those who remain stuck in the past from those who reinvent themselves is the willingness to challenge their own subconscious. You have this power, you just have to use it consciously. Now that you know that your mind can be reprogrammed, the responsibility is in your hands. Small daily changes accumulate great results over time. Start by adjusting your way of thinking, practicing affirmations that strengthen your goals, and feeding your mind with information that elevates your mindset. The outside world will always be a reflection of what you carry inside. So, why not create a new reality, more aligned with your dreams? If this content made sense to you, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos. Together, we can continue exploring ways to reprogram your mind, overcome limitations, and build an extraordinary life. Leave a comment saying which insight impacted you the most, and share this video with someone who also needs to hear this message. Your transformation starts now.